Hey, what's up guys? How's everybody doing today? As for me, I'm doing A-OK. So today I'm going to be replacing this lower A-arm, this suspension pin right here. This thing is bent. And also this end rod that goes in here for the shock, which is this thing. So this part broke off. And it's been about like 3 months already, 3 to 4 months that I haven't run this truck. It's just been sitting here, and I finally managed to get parts for it. And here are some of the parts. Here are the lower A-arms that I'm going to be replacing, and then I got some of these which I don't need, but since they're fairly cheap I thought I'd pick it up, because if you see these two pins, this thing actually hold the wheel together with this end right here. This is how it spins with the CVD axle. I actually lost it once and then I had to improvise, so I used another tool and chopped off another piece of metal and stuck it in there temporarily, and it worked until now. And yeah, since this thing is fairly cheap, I thought I'd just pick it up and, you know, install it since it's an original part. And also the suspension pin, yes, I'm going to be replacing that as well, because this one here is like friggin' bent. Anyways, yeah, so I'm going to show you guys how to replace the lower A-arm, the suspension pin, and this end rod right here. Alright, so stay tuned. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is take the wheels off, or take this tire off, the side you're going to be working on. And the bolt is a 17mm, and you're going to need a socket to take it off. You're not going to be able to get in there with a wrench, so you're going to need one of these, a socket, 17mm. Alright guys, once you get the wheels off, you want to get to, the next thing is you want to get to these two screws right here. You don't really need to take this off, just these two screws, and then you could get the bottom part off. Or if you want to take the top one off too, you just go to this screw. But since I'm just replacing the bottom, I'm just going to go to this bottom part down here. Alright, so once you take the screw off, it looks something like this. This is basically just like a screw to hold the ball joint in place, because there's a ball joint in here that you're gonna need to take out. But there's a ball joint right there that helps this lower A-arm pivot up and down when the suspension's moving, and that needs to come off. Alright, there you go. Here is the broken lower A-arm that broke off right here where the suspension pin was. And here is the ball joint that I was talking about. Alright. So basically this screws, it goes over it like that, which allow the ball joint to pivot around while this thing holds it in place in here. Alright, so let's replace the lower A-arm. Alright, so putting the lower A-arm is the same procedure as taking it off. So you want to go back with your ball joint. You want to stick the ball joint in. Alright, and then you want to stick your lower A-arm, or connect the lower A-arm to the ball joint. want a little bit of play, so that you want to install this here. Once you install this, then maybe you could look at it to see if it's adjusted. But I'm just gonna go in a little bit more because there's too much play. And at the same time, you do not want this too tight, because you want play in order for the travel of the suspension and the movement of the lower A-arm. It's almost there. I'll show you guys in a minute once I finish screwing this on. Oh, there you go. That should be good. So if you see here, see how there's a gap, and I leave a gap up here. So there's a gap down here and a gap up here. And because I left those gaps, it allows the movement of the pivot of the A-arms. So if I go any tighter, it's gonna get really tight. It might not even travel all the way up like this. I'll probably stop right here if I go even tighter. Yeah, I always leave a little bit of play so that it has a free flowing travel up and down, like all the way, not just a little bit. That's just my tip. You don't have to take my word for it. Alright, putting this thing on now. Alright, so this is what I mean by a little bit of play. See how there's a little bit of play down there and a little bit of play up here? It's for the suspension to travel. It's perfect. That is actually perfect. So now the next thing we got to do is the suspension pin, this thing here. So basically all you gotta do is take this screw off, and then this whole front plate comes off, and both suspension pin can come off. But I'm just gonna replace this one. This screw here, all it does is close up this little gap here so the suspension pin don't slide out. That's all that this screw does, these two screws. Alright, so let's do it. Let's take off these two right here and take the front plate off. Sorry, I can't tell you guys what the Allen wrench size is, because I don't know it. It doesn't say on the key. But maybe you guys might know by seeing how big it is up against the Cheetah. Hopefully that helps. That's one. That's two. And yep, here is the front plate. So it's super duper easy to change the suspension pin. It's just two screws. You take those off, the front plate comes off, and then you have access to the pin. See right here with this one, I could just pull this pin out, but I'm not gonna do that because this side here is still in good condition. It's just this side here that I crashed really hard. And then I used to have a bumper right here. It's gone. Yep, can't do nothing about it. So yeah, if you notice this suspension pin, look at that wobble. Oh yeah, wobble, wobble. Alright, let's put in the new part. Here's the new part. Nice. It's straight, it's solid. So what you want to do is you want to take your lower A-arm, you want to put your pin through it, and then you stick it in the back of the hole right there where the pin goes through. It's another frame, and it's like a back frame. We took off the front frame. I mean the front plate. It's like another back plate back there. And then you want to stick this on just like that. You want to line up the suspension pin. Gets tricky because you have to line up the left side too. And I think we are lined up. Yep, we're lined up. There's the test for you. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh crap, I made the mistake of putting this on before I put this on. Dang it, so now I have to go back. Alright, so I kind of made the mistake of not putting this dog bone in first when I should have. Because once you have this lined up already and screwed in, there's no way you're going to get this CVD in here. So I had to take everything apart again. So I'm going to put this in first. Just like that. So now that that's in, you can start lining up the lower A-arm with the new pin. The new suspension pin. And I think it would be a good idea to grease this up right now before putting it in. I don't have access to any grease yet, except for automotive grease, but I don't want to use that. It's yeah, it's gonna smell like the mechanic shop. Maybe later in the future when I'm, you know, really beating up this truck. But for now, it's just, we're just gonna test this lower A-arm. Just gonna put everything back together. I got the battery on the charger, charging up the LiPo. And yeah, you know, I'm really stoked. I got these parts in the mail yesterday. I've waited almost 3 weeks for it. It's finally here. I can finally get the Cheetah up and running again. You know, sometimes you just gotta wiggle the front plate around to get the holes to line up. Like this side's not lining up. I think I got it. There you go, I got it. Started by hand, finish it off with the wrench or Allen key, whatever you want to call it. There we go. And you don't want to do this too tight because you're actually screwing into the plastic. So if you you know, over torque it, you might just strip the whole thread within the plastic. There you go, that's good enough. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. Back in business, baby. Alright. So next thing is this thing here, which is this thing, the end rod on a shock absorber. And seems like there's hardly any oil in here. There's hardly any oil and there's a lot of air. I can tell. Yep. So maybe later in the future I'll replace the oil on all 4 shocks. But for now, I'm gonna show you guys how to replace this thing here. So to take off this end rod, the tools that I'm using a vice grip. Alright, I'm using a vice grip with a some old rubber hose on top, so that when I'm pinching the actual shaft of the shock absorber, it's not going to damage anything. It's not going to leave any marks or anything like that. Alright, so just like that. And then with some pliers, I'm just going to carefully twist off this end rod. And I see everything moving, including the shock absorber. So I'm going to realign this and see if it works this way. Actually, I'm going to make it tighter. That might work if I make it tighter. There you go, that seems kind of tight. Oh, that's really tight. I hope I didn't damage the shaft. But I'm pretty sure it's not going to be damaged. Here it comes. Alright, so I got it off. The parts that I'm using is it's made by Traxxas. It's 2742. This is the end rod that fits JLB Cheetah. I've used it once already, and the reason why I say it fits because it does fit. That's it right there. I had an incident where this thing broke off. See, that's the original one over there, and this is the Traxxas one. Yeah, I had an incident where this thing broke off, and I wasn't able to run the Cheetah. Because you actually need this thing, this end rod, to keep the toe angle of the tires. And without that, your tires just wiggling all around, and you know, you can't really drive the car the way you want, or the way it should be. Anyways, I'm gonna pull one of these things out. Alright, focus. Alright. If you can see the diameter of the thread and the whole diameter of this end rod, it's really like almost the same size. So this is the reason why it fits. And I've also talked to the store owner of the hobby shop that I got this from. He's the one who helped me pick out this part. Come on, get in there. You gotta push and twist, because the things with these plastic end rods, they're not threaded on the inside. Especially these Traxxas ones, they're not threaded. They're just a hollow plastic, and then you gotta like force this thing to make a thread in there. Come on, keep going. So you gotta, you know, really push and twist. There you go, that's nice and tight. And if you see, no marks on the shaft. Nice. So now I have a shock absorber with the new end rod. That's how you do that. Alright, so I'm gonna put everything back together now. Alright, so here's the finished product. Looks nice, looks new, everything else looks old. It's like the only thing that's new. But anyways, yeah. It's working good, I'm loving it. Look at that. Let's do a drop test. Oh yeah. Very nice. Alright, so that's how you change the lower A-arm, the suspension pin, the end rod on your shock absorber. What else did I show you guys? That's basically it, yeah. If anything comes up or anything else break, I'll be sure to show you guys that too and how to fix that as well. But yeah, hope this helped for any of you guys out there with the JLB Cheetah. And this also can be used, you know, with other RC trucks as well. Same concept. All of the repair steps are basically the same. It's yeah, it's just have the knowledge and the mechanic skills and you'll be okay. And don't be afraid to break something, and that's the only way you learn. I hope this helped you guys. If you liked the video, remember to like and subscribe.